Hey, Simple History fans! Get me your very own limited edition Simple History Soldier plushie. Available to purchase until October 2nd at $24.99 US plus tax and shipping. And once pre-orders are fulfilled, I will ship out 60 to 80 days after the campaign ends. Once I'm gone, I'm gone. Head over to the link in the description below to get your limited edition Simple History plushie today.
Red Army assaults Sappers. World War II. At the end of 1941, in reaction to the German invasion, Stalin ordered the formation of Sapper or engineer brigades in the Red Army. During the offensive, they were tasked with constructing obstacles such as anti-tank hedgehogs and mines to slow down the German tanks and infantry. Sappers were crucial to building fortification lines in front of Moscow and Leningrad. As the danger of advancing German troops rose with each week, calls for sappers were set as a priority. By the end of 1941, the Red Army had organized 10 sapper armies, which consisted of around 500,000 men and women. Their effort was crucial in preventing the Germans from conquering both cities. After the Battle of Stalingrad from August 23, 1942 to February 2, 1943, the tides of war started to change in favor of the Red Army, which took over the tactical initiative. Therefore, the need for such a big number of sappers ceased and most of the personnel were transferred into other infantry units. Switching from defensive to offensive operations, however, called for the formation of a new type of engineering unit, the assault sappers. The first such units were formed in early 1943. The task of these more than unique units was diverse, from providing engineering support to being involved in assault operations in heavily fortified positions. At first, assault sappers were used as standard infantry units, a role they were not properly trained for. This led to high casualty rates of valuable sappers on the battlefields of the Eastern Front. Red Army headquarters therefore decided to clearly define their role. The newly formed assault sapper brigades were primarily tasked with penetrating the heavily fortified positions of the enemy. After completing their objectives, they were brought back to the reserves to continue with training. In non-combat missions, sappers were used for demining tasks and the construction of bridges. Apart from their specific roles, these units were also unique for their better technical and tactical training than standard Red Army troops. Training the assault sappers was very enduring and difficult. As sappers were trained for highly dangerous, energetic missions, it was decided to recruit only younger soldiers. Soldiers older than 40 were not allowed to join their ranks. Beside the standard engineering training and endurance exercises, sappers spent a lot of time on studying the techniques of hand-to-hand combat and throwing grenades. The soldiers learned to overcome assault fences, wire and wooden obstacles, and to fight in close combat using portable entrenching tools, small sapper shovels honed with 3 edgings. During their training, officers even used live ammunition in order to train men how to crawl as low as possible. This skill was of great importance once sappers were engaged on the battlefield. The armament of the assault sapper units was organized to meet their professional needs. In an assault, sappers used more refined weapons than the regular infantry. Instead of rifles, assault sappers were armed with either a PPSH or PPS submachine gun, but also Degtyarev light machine guns, sniper rifles, and even anti-tank rifles for engagements against light fortifications. The inevitable part of the sappers' armament on assault missions were grenades. These included RPG-43 anti-tank and RGD-33 anti-personnel grenades and incendiary bottles, the notorious Molotov cocktail. For close combat, assault sappers used small sapper shovels and small Finnish puukko knives. When assaulting heavily fortified enemies or in street fights, sappers used explosives and LPO-50 light infantry flamethrowers. They also fought with captured German Faustpatrones, Panzerfausts, and Panzerschrecks. Sappers even invented a specially designed device that allowed the simultaneous launch of 10 Faustpatrones. In the later stages of the war, T-34 tanks and flamethrower tanks were added as support for the attacking sappers. During the attack on the city of Danzig, the 1st Sapper Assault Brigade consisted of 30 assault groups. Each group had 4 assault soldiers with 12 submachine gun magazines, 2 flamethrowers, and a group of 4 Faustniks armed with 50 to 80 Faustpatrones and 1 special launching device. The group was followed by a support tank. For demolition jobs, there was a special group with 440 pounds of explosives. Highly trained units with such power proved to be extremely efficient in crushing any enemy defense. To protect themselves, the assault sappers were equipped with M40 steel helmets and SN42 steel body armor, which protected them from mines and 9mm pistol bullets. It was very heavy, weighing 7.7 pounds or 3.5 kilos. It was made of 0.08-inch or 2mm steel plates and had a shock-absorbing lining inside. It was worn either inside a quilted jacket without sleeves or simply over the soldier's coat. The breastplate proved to be quite useful in close-quarters street fighting, where it protected sappers from MP-40 submachine gun bullets and grenade shrapnel. But out in the field, it was a big burden, especially while crawling. Because of this, the assault sappers rarely used breastplates when fighting out in the open. Nevertheless, the breastplate became a landmark for the assault sappers and was something for which they were recognizable. Assault sappers proved themselves in many battles from Kursk to Berlin, especially when standard units had no success. One such battle happened after the Battle of Kursk on August 10, 1943, at elevation 233.3, where the Germans had set up their defensive positions. Hill 233.3 was surrounded by deep tank ditches and minefields entangled by barbed wire with a total length of 21 kilometers. The hill itself was intertwined with 400 connected trenches and 200 reinforced concrete bunkers with machine guns. Inside the hill was an entire garrison of more than 800 Waffen-SS soldiers. After 4 days of heavy fighting, Red Army infantry units had no success in overcoming the heavily fortified enemy positions. The task was then given to the 1st Assault Sapper Brigade to conquer the heavily fortified hill. After carefully studying the enemy's defenses, commander of the 1st Brigade, Major Bellican, ordered the attack during dinner time. He called for no artillery preparation as he didn't want to announce the arrival of his troops. He wanted to surprise the defenders. The assault sappers attacked the German positions from 4 directions. Only when the attack started was it supported by Katyushas and by artillery fire into the depths of the enemy positions. Once the assault sappers managed to reach the German trenches, they commenced hand-to-hand combat. The value of their breastplates proved enormous during the attack, as the Germans were unable to effectively fight against these seemingly bullet-resistant Soviet soldiers. After a few hours of battle, a red banner was waving on top of what the Germans thought was an impregnable hill. By the end of the war, the assault sappers saw much intense combat for which they became a famous unit of the Red Army. They would play a major role in taking almost every big town in Poland, Hungary, and Germany from the Axis. This episode is brought to you by Warlord Games. For the best-selling history-themed tabletop games, head over to the Warlord Games website and check out the Bolt Action World War II series.